Okay.
Well, today we're fixing the go-kart after our last session at PKRA. As I'm sure most of you saw, I went off the track. And you can't have a dirty go-kart, so I think the front end's a little bit messed up. I got to clean the back end. I know one of the side pods was messed up. This ended up coming loose, which is not bad. Now this is interesting. Right here, it comes back there, and I had a hose clamp right here. I don't know what happened to the hose clamp. It broke. I've never seen a hose clamp completely disappear. So that must have been quite some force that Keith Sears gave me on the right side of the cart to break that hose clamp off. But anyways, that's kind of one of the mounts that I have. Then I have another mount up here, up in front. And that's just a simple mount. Now I've went away from the plastic mounts that GoPro makes, and I've actually went out and bought the aluminum mounts. They seem to hold better. They seem to be a lot tighter.
Screen went off.
That's okay.
Okay.
I've got a new cameraman today. He's learning how the GoPro 7 works. By the way, GoPro 7, awesome camera for doing video vlogging, for doing racing. I think my videos with when I'm out on the track are a whole lot more clear than what I was normally using the GoPro 3X. This one seems to be a whole lot better. The video stability is a lot better. I'm not sure actually what it's called, but I do like it, and I will be buying another one. Right now, GoPro has a deal going where if you send them any camera, it doesn't matter if it's working or not, any camera, they'll knock $100 off. So that makes a GoPro 7 $299. I would definitely recommend putting an SD card in it of at least 128. I found that the other SD cards seem to use up the space faster and your videos aren't as clear. Maybe it's just, I'm just seeing it that way. Anyways, back to the go-kart. Still got to pull the exhaust off. I'm going to pull the motor off. We've got a rack that we've actually stick this go-kart in, and it'll actually hold on to both sides of the axle, and we can actually measure from the front and make sure it's still square, and then we'll go back and do the camera and the caster and get it all set up. Our next race is on January 27th at PKRA, and we will be ready. Keep racing. Well, as you can see, I now have the whole go-kart tore down. I've taken the fuel tank out of it, I've taken the floorboard out of it, I took the front bumper off, I've taken both the front wheels off, I took both the kickouts on both sides, I've taken the hub off, I took the exhaust off, I took the motor off, I've taken everything off the go-kart. And the reason why I'm doing that is, one, this thing is filthy. This is disgusting and stuff. This go-kart needs to be cleaned after the last race. Plus, I'm going to stick it in the rack. The rack holds on to each side of the axles, and then we can turn around and measure it from side to side to make sure it's level and make sure it's true again. And then I'll clean the whole go-kart, put it back together, and we'll be up and racing in about 4 days. Hopefully I'll have it all done in the next, today it's Wednesday. I should have it done by Thursday afternoon, and I'll be at the track Friday night for a shakedown, make sure that everything's good to go, and we'll be racing on Sunday. See ya. Well, now we're at Innovative Karting. We've taken the beast and we've put it up on the rack. What we do is we clamp down the rear axle to the frame, clamp it down here. We come over here, we use this, turn around, see where it's at as far as straightness. Right now, according to JD, how far are we off, JD?
Not very much.
Not very much. That is a technical term that we use here at Innovative Karting. Say that again, JD?
Keep it clean, I didn't want to cuss.
So, anyways, this is what they call a frame straightening table. You set it up on the table, you lock down the rear axle, and then it pivots in the front right here on the frame. so that we can turn around and we can tweak on it back and forth. We want to get it level as we can and straight as we can. Then we'll reset the camber and the caster, make sure everything's true. Once that's complete, then we'll take the whole go-kart, clean it, put it all back together, and get it ready for the Sunday main event. Well, I've cleaned the entire go-kart. I replaced all the grub screws. I checked all the kingpins. Everything seems to be straight. This is kind of how you can adjust it just by turning this. And you pull out your grub screw, you unloosen it down here, and then you can spin it around to see if your kingpin is bent. Mine were not bent on either side, so I was able to turn around and just readjust it. We also check the height in this. Normally we check from right here all the way down to here, and we check to make sure it's all straight. I reset my caster on the cart, and I reset the camber on the cart. Everything seems to be really good. I took out all the pills, took everything out, cleaned it really well, so it should be ready to go. With a little bit of cleaning, probably take me an hour or two tomorrow, and it should be ready. Well, it's less than 24 hours before the race. I've got the entire frame completely stripped down. I've redone the front end. Everything's clean. I've pressure washed the back end. Now to put this bad boy back together. Taking the bearings out of the back. I've cleaned up the entire rear end, make sure everything is straight. So today I'll be reassembling this kart, getting it ready for tomorrow's race number 6 at PKRA. Well, it took all day. Had a lot of bent and broken parts, but I've got everything put back together with the exception of putting the tires and the wheels back on. Cleaned everything. We are ready to rock and roll. Everything in this area is all super clean. It takes me a while to get it clean, but it definitely looks good. Cannot have a dirty go-kart. Put a new hose clamp right here to hold the GoPro mount on. So hopefully that'll solve it. This is where I mount my GoPro for behind the go-kart. Seems to work out pretty well. Cleaned up everything. So we should be having a really good race. Well, the go-kart's all loaded. We're all ready for tomorrow morning. We got fuel, we got tires, go-kart's cleaned, everything's loaded up. We are ready to go right now.